Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Feva with Dutch Shine Window Cleaning. Just wanted to chat with you briefly about some of the ripple effects, the ramifications of not having systems in place for your employees. I know it's challenging to do when you're first starting out, but take a moment to think about the processes that you implement every day that are up in your head, locked away. Try to get that onto paper. So what do I mean by procedures, systems in terms of clear consequences, clear expectations? So something as simple as not putting a screen back in at a client's house. You know, I take full responsibility. Should have had these systems in place a long time ago, and it's really biting us in the butt now. So what I mean by that is, you know, I've got a screen to put back in way out in South Lake, which is a good 45 minutes away from where I live. That's a one-way trip. And when I go out there, I got to do some touch-up that the client noticed. You know, the sun shifts, from the morning to the afternoon. That was understandable. But, forgetting somebody's screens. I've got another client that has screens out in Richardson. I'm more towards the east side of Richardson that I've got to go back in and install. And then yesterday I was called back to put a screen back in place and found that an entire window had been missed. So it's not just the immediate timestamp of, I've got to drive out today to fix this problem. One, there's the instantaneous perception that your company lacks discipline. It lacks systems, and it's not, that may not be commiserate to the prices that you're charging your client. So when somebody's paying for a luxury service like what we provide, they're going to expect things to be spot on. They're going to expect you to wear your booties. They're going to expect you to carefully carry your step ladders through their house. They're going to expect you to be careful with their equipment. They're going to expect you to do the job right the first time and professionally with no attitude. Okay? So, but aside from those impacts, there are other impacts. Like today, I have to have another person on, an additional technician, so that I can get the work done that's scheduled for today. Consequently, the two other technicians that are on, that are responsible for the problem, are getting paid less today because there's an extra technician, so that I have time at the end of the day to go to these two houses to put the screens back in and do the touch-up. Why am I doing it? Because I don't have clearly defined consequences, procedures and associated consequences, expectations and consequences. My wife and I have drawn a line, and we're going to focus our attention on creating the procedures, creating the systems, and clearly defining consequences. Some may include loss of compensation, loss of commission compensation. As an owner of the business, my time is worth much more than a technician. But if I hadn't clearly defined the consequences to begin with, I don't feel right sending somebody else to go do the stuff that they didn't do right to begin with. Once the consequences are in place and it's clear and black and white and you sign this document, this is what's going to happen if you don't do this, then I feel comfortable standing firm and insisting and all that stuff. Okay, so some of y'all are harder than I am. Some of y'all would be like, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm going to make them do it anyway. And you know what? You're right in your world. That's absolutely correct. In your world, that's right. In my world, it's not. And that's okay too. Other consequences, let me think of some other consequences. Obviously, the time spent. Okay, the other consequences, we have a trainee that we're trying to get onboarded and trained up and ready to work. Has a great attitude, did great in the interview, lacks certain technical skills. We're working on that. That's something that we can work on. Okay, but I had to cut him today. I had to take him off the schedule because I don't have time to train him anymore, because I am dealing with these issues where I'm just driving around town putting screens back in. So I need this new guy. I need this new guy to eventually take over. I don't want to be in the field every day. Okay, I have bigger things to do in my business. I want to work on my business and not in my business, and that's why we train people. Take painstaking efforts to make sure that they're the right fit for our company. To make sure that they don't have a victim mindset, and to help them out ultimately. But I couldn't take the time to train this other person today because why? Budget. We're adding an extra a more experienced technician because I know I'm going to need that person to get me through all the jobs today. That's number one. So the budget for the day is screwed. We're not going to make as much as we wanted to. All the technicians aren't making as much as they wanted to. The business isn't making as much money as they wanted to. The employee that wants to work with us right away is not going to get trained, and he's going to have to go a day without pay simply because we don't have the systems in place to address expectations and consequences. So it just keeps rippling out, and if any other consequences occur to me, I will be sure to share that with you. Take a moment to really think about your operation, get it in black and white, come up with some consequences if your guys can't or gals can't do it or don't do it, and stand firm on those consequences. This is just a little bit of advice coming from somebody who's in the stage 2 of their business, stage 2, trying to get to stage 3, in terms of Joshua Latimer's 5 stages of business. We're in a solid stage 2 right now and trying our damnedest to get into stage 3. And if you don't take that time in the beginning, that transition from stage to stage is really hard. So anyway, I hope some of you found this helpful. I'd like to, if you have any thoughts on the matter, please share in the comments. If you have any tips or tricks, or if you've navigated this process in the past and you've come up with some great systems, I'd love to hear about it. Right there in the comments below. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. All right, have a good day. Bye.